I get the question often enough as a VR rally content creator, what it's actually like to use a VR or virtual reality in a rally game. So today's video is going to be me just talking about it, letting you know what it is actually like from someone who's literally playing it and really enjoys it. I'm going to give you the pros, the cons, and just a general overview of what it's actually like to play a rally game in VR because there's a lot more going on than you actually think. So the first point that rings true, I reckon, is just the actual immersion of VR. You know, when you're looking at it on a screen or you're like, you know, just watching a video in general, whatever screen you're using, you're getting no way in any shape or form what it's actually like. The immersive factor that VR brings to a rally game is like nothing I have ever experienced in my life. And for the simple fact of that is, yeah, I just really enjoy VR. Though it's not for everyone, and there is some pretty big cons to having VR, but we'll touch on that a little bit later. Real depth perception is a very good point to try and hammer home, as you guys just don't understand. Like, what I'm actually seeing is insane. I can pick every bump, detail, every rut, every little bit of camber on the inside of a track, every hump, every jump. It is literally just so easy to see on my screen. It's not going to make you any faster than it would be on a normal screen, but the actual visual detail you're picking up and then feeling through force feedback is absolutely amazing. You know, there's some corners you can pick in the game that you can actually have completely different lines to what you normally would take in as you would normally play it, you know, just because the simple fact you can actually see what the front wheel is going to hook into, or, you know, a bump that's on the outside, something like that. You can just really pick it very nicely, and yeah, it's just very amazing depth perception. It's just next level, honestly. Picking your line naturally is another thing that's very cool with VR. So as you would see when I'm playing VR, my head, or what you're seeing in my view, is it's looking left and right as I'm looking into the corner or whatever I'm doing. It's literally natural. I'm not even trying to do that, because what you're seeing is me looking out through a windshield of a car like you would in real life, trying to look left and right across that windshield to try and pick a nice line. Think of it when you're actually driving a car in real life, how you turn your head left and right. I'm literally doing that just in the game. It's you know, it just follows naturally to where you would feel like your body wants to go, because the whole thing with VR and the big adjustment is the sensors your body is trying to pick up, but you're not getting those exact sensors, and I mean that by G-force, you know, lateral move. It's a lot of stuff your body is trying to interpret because it's seeing it on the screen. It actually registers as being real, but you just don't feel it. That is the disconnect. That is very hard and what can cause motion sickness, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Lifesize scale is a very interesting point. So when I'm sitting in the driver's seat of whatever car it is and I look left and right, say you've got the marshal there, he's about to, you know, let you get loose on the stage, you know, the timekeeper. That is literally a 6-foot tall man I'm looking at the side of my car, which is, I know it does not look like that on the screen or whatever, or it does, but literally seeing a 6-foot freaking fella there ready to just let you loose is crazy. Let alone every tree, every stump, every rock, every cliff. It is literally like you're sitting in your normal car down a bush track, and it's just all around you, left, right, up and down, to literal scale. It's just, until you experience something like this, it is just something that is very hard for a non-VR player to understand. But once you do experience it for the first time, that first couple of minutes, you're literally just taken aback and blown away. That was my experience for the first time in VR. VR versus watching VR. So on the screen it looks pretty cool, looks pretty flashy, there's a lot going on. But in the headset, literally it's like I am transformed into another plane of existence. I am literally sitting inside that freaking cockpit, and you could near sweat. You just can't even comprehend that you're not. That's the crazy part about VR. It literally plops you in the game, and you, while you're playing the game like that, you freaking feel like it's real. That is the coolest part about this, you know. And it doesn't matter how fast or slow you do go. It's just like you're literally right there. And by doing this, you know, I put, you know, 500, 600 hours into Dirt Rally 2.0 or something like that. Once I played VR, it's like I played an entirely different game. Changed the game massively to the point where I was like, I need to actually relearn every stage because my lines I took on a 2D screen, way different. Speed factor, 120 k's, 130, 140, 150, feels terrifyingly fast. You know, when you're in top gear, stinging down a stage, it is almost frightening, you know, and then let alone trying to pull it up over the bumps and the jumps and all the shake and stuff going on. Wild. Absolutely wild. The first few times when you actually make a big mistake and have a crash, your brain, this is my experience, so this could be a con depending, but it's very cool. My first experience in VR, I was actually playing the Nordschleifer on GT7 on the PSVR 2. So the big dips and stuff like that as you're coming down, say the midway point of that track, as I would get to the low point of that, I'd feel my body tense up and try to anticipate the G-force of that, you know, going down into like that dip and then that rise. That was very weird for me to feel for the first time. But once I did get past that, you know, you can sort of get that little disconnect and you can register your brain into knowing like, okay, I'm not going to feel that, you don't need to tense up, but that can be the cause of how the motion sickness comes in. Your body's just trying to really anticipate and trying to obviously protect you, but yeah, it's not something you would really believe me telling you until you actually experience it for your first for your first time. The focus, oh my god, man. You know, most guys who play rally games, the focus face, we've all seen it. You know, you've got that serious face where you know, looks like you're rushing home because you got to go and take a crap. It's the no freaking frills, just I'm in business face. You've got that in the VR the whole time because there is no distractions. It's literally you, the road, surviving what is in front of you, and the co-driver on your right just shouting in your ear. Absolutely fantastic focus. It's honestly, wow. Physical reactions is a point I did touch on with my experience on the Nordschleifer, but honestly, the first few hours of the game, you're going to lean, you're going to brace, you're going to tense up like a sort of reel. Very hard to get that out of your head. That is you need to retrain your brain into just disconnecting from what it's trying to do. And for me personally, I did that in probably half an hour stints over the course of 5 to 6 days, I'd say roughly. And that was when I could play for hours on end. But before that, half an hour was sort of my max, and I would get motion sickness, but it would really knock me about. I would not feel great, and I'd have to take, you know, a half-hour session. I'll be sitting on the lounge watching anime for maybe an hour and a half to sort of recover from it, because it's just a lot for your brain or for your system to take in. Exhaustion levels is something you do not anticipate, but I can tell you what, if you play, I don't know, go to Scotland, you go to the Newhouse Bridge, which we all know is a crazy stage, you get to the end of that, it feels like a freaking achievement, man. Real effort going on, because it's not just your hands and feet, you're now incorporating your head to look left and right. Each bump and jump, you're bobbing, you're weaving, you're looking around the pillar of the car, looking around the mirror, looking down underneath the roof of the car, you know, around the dashboard, around the wheel. It's that added little extra factor. Wow, you'll really just have a newfound appreciation of getting a nice run in. It's freaking fantastic. So some of the cons in VR. Well, for one, once you do, Dirt Rally 2.0 is a perfect example. That game is actually completely optimized for VR. It's perfectly just amazing in VR. once you have an experience that is so good like that and you really do adjust to it, it's actually quite hard to go back to a flat screen. I experienced that myself when I was just getting with my deal with Pimax. In case you guys don't know, I'm actually partnered with Pimax. But anyway, once I got that and had a go of it, I went back to play. I was playing some club rounds in EA Sports WRC. This is ages ago. I haven't played EA. I played it for last night for 10 minutes, but honestly, I haven't touched it in probably 6 months. But the sheer fact is because there is no VR, well, the VR support is still in beta. Before EA Games bought out Codemasters, and there was no more development. So the VR in that game is just absolutely horrendous. I would not recommend it. My experience for that was terrible. I just literally stick with Dirt Rally 2.0 for rally. But yeah, getting back to a flat screen is very, very hard, so I guess you could call that a con. Another con is obviously, well, the price that you would outlay. I was lucky enough to, like I said before, get a partnership with Pimax. They reached out to me as a content creation type of deal. But anyway, the actual cost of a VR, yeah, they can be quite pricey. Now you don't need the top of line rigid stuff at all if you don't want it. You know, you can get by with some of the old school VRs. They work perfectly fine, you know, to dip your feet into it. In fact, I'd even maybe recommend just getting a little bit of a cheaper one, maybe a second handy or Facebook Marketplace, just to dip your feet to see if you do like it, because it, you know, it is a bit of an investment. You know, so I'd probably call that a con, I guess. Another con with VR, well, it does get pretty hot on your face. You know, the unit I use, you know, it is pretty well, it's not that hot really at all, but it is still a lot of added heat to your face and around your eyes. So, you know, on a hot summer's day, you're really going to feel it. You know, but you know, if you can have a ventilated room or an aircon, if you're lucky to have an aircon or even a fan, that isn't really an issue, but it is, I guess, kind of a con. And another con, I guess you would say, if you'd really call it a con, is the weight of the VR unit yourself. Now, going into buying a VR, you're obviously going to anticipate that, so I guess, I don't know if you'd call it a con, you know, you just have to take it as it is. But I feel like the actual weight of VR units themselves, you know, vastly outweighs the weight of it, to put it bluntly. Like, I wouldn't whinge about the weight of it at all, because I'm actually enjoying what's going on, you know, and if you play it for an hour, 2 hours, you know, it's sweet. I don't get any pressure point sores or anything like that, you know, it's pretty fine. And the unit I use too is a Pimax Crystal Light. In my description there's a discount code if you want to get onto it, whatever, it doesn't bother me, it's all good. But the balance and the weight of my one, it honestly fits very nice, and you don't really have any issue with it all moving. So pros, there's a few pros, but I'm going to rattle off a couple here that I think would be good. VR is awesome if you don't have a lot of space, because obviously you don't need a screen anymore, so you can just chuck VR on, you know, you have your little, if you wanted a little rig, stand-up rig, a foldable rig, sorry, put it in the corner, VR's there. I know a few guys that, you know, that I sort of gel with that do that exact thing. They just have full-blown VR rigs, that's all they use, you know. So it's, you know, it's pretty bloody cool. VR isn't too demanding if you use it by itself on the PC. On my PC I can run ultra graphics with that, but obviously it depends on the model of the unit yourself. As they get up in the price, they're pretty insane quality. Like the Pimax that I use at the moment is just very brutally clear and crisp picture. It's honestly amazing compared to a PSVR 2. Night and day, honestly, night and day. So take that with a grain of salt. You know, I'm not trying to sling you a product. That's just literally how it's been for me. I wouldn't go back to a PSVR 2, put it that way. The blurriness and the actual just the feeling of it, you know, the PSVR 2 was comfortable, but yeah, just couldn't go back. Yeah, so there's pros and cons both ways, you know, it depends what you want to do, you know, but honestly, I'd highly recommend, even if you can, just experience VR just to try it, because it is fantastic. It really, really is. It's another element of gaming that you just do not think of until you try it, and then I would dare say you get hooked on it. You know, there is a few guys that get motion sickness, but I would honestly reckon if you did get motion sickness, if you just build up to it, like I did over stages, don't just go full bore. I don't recommend doing the Nordschleife for your first go. That was really dumb on my behalf, really shit idea. Even rally, I don't know if I would do rally. I'd maybe pick maybe a road stage where there's not too much going on, for example, but you know, just dip your feet in, see how you go. And I would really, yeah, I think you'd enjoy it. So any more questions about the VR stuff, let me know down below. I'll try and answer them. I do try to go through all my comments. I enjoy it, reaching out to you guys, and you know, getting in contact with whatever you need as far as my ability. If not, I'll try and get some people onto it who can help you. Let me know if you play VR, how your experience has been, if you enjoy it, the things that you know I maybe forgot to mention about pros and cons for it. That'd be pretty cool for just general community people to have a bit of a read through. And obviously, you know, if you want to experience VR, what would you play? That's what I'm interested in. For me, obviously, I'm just going to play Rally. I freaking love Rally. I'm a bit of a fiend. But yeah, just some interesting questions I'd like to, you know, go through the answers because I find it just interesting. Anyway, I hope this was a bit of an insightful video for you guys, and yeah, just thought I'd get on here for all the new subs because the channel has been really popping lately. Just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's joining for the ride. Really do appreciate it. You guys are absolute legends, and it's already exceeded far of my expectations of what I thought this channel would be. So just thanks again, boys, and yeah, as always, have a good day, good night, or a good afternoon, and I will catch you in the next one. Cheers.